I still have days where I feel fat. I still have days when I look in the mirror and I don't like my reflection. I still have days where, I could beat myself up about my changing body shape, my changing, aging face. There are many negative thoughts that I can have about myself throughout the day. Here's the difference. Here's what's changed through the work that I've done on myself. I can have the thoughts and not put emotion into them. I can have the thought and not let it become something that's going to rule my day, change my behavior, affect how I'm feeling about myself. So here's how it goes. I have the thought, I'm fat. And instead of making that I'm fat, so I'm disgusting, so I'm undisciplined, so I'm unattractive, la la la, you know how it goes, right? Instead of allowing that to be the pattern, I have the thought, I'm fat. Okay, cool. That's data, that's information. Whether that's true in reality or not, yes, I have fat on my body, 100%. And yes, I have more fat on my body than I once did. Yes, that is true. So that's interesting information. What am I going to do with that thought? What am I going to do with that information? Nothing, absolutely nothing. It's a thought and I can disassociate from that thought. So I see it, I see the thought, I'm fat, and I move my mind away from it. I don't let that become what the rest of my day is based on. And that's the key. That's what used to keep me stuck, is that the thought, I am fat, then became, well, so what am I going to do about it? I'm not going to eat. I'm going to exercise. I'm going to, you know how it goes. I don't need to put ideas in your head. So now the thought comes, it's okay, great. That's a part of me which is judging. It's a part of me which is judging how I look. Great. But there are many other parts of me. Just because I am fat doesn't need to become the basis for which I decide what I'm going to eat, because I want to eat based on what my body needs. I don't want to eat based on what that mean part of me is saying about what my body looks like. I want to exercise based on what my body needs, not on what that mean part of me thinks that I should be doing. So this is a practice, it's a journey, it's not something that comes overnight, but start to hear that voice which is telling you you're fat, you're ugly, whatever. And when it comes, choose to, a really useful phrase is choose again. Choose again. That thought, you can't stop the thought. Here I am after doing so much work and I still have the thought. So you can't necessarily change the thought. There are things that you can do to, in your environment, who you surround yourself with, what media content you absorb, etc. There are things that you can do that will influence the thought, but in reality, you can't really change the thought. So accept that the thought is going to come. It's what you do with the thought that is then, that's where you have control. That's where you have the power. You can have the thought, let it be, don't judge it. I have the thought, I'm fat, I'm ugly, I'm whatever. I have the thought, but I get to decide what I do with that thought. Let's put it this way. Say your best friend or your child, whatever resonates more deeply with you, say your best friend or your child comes to you and says, my friend at school says, I'm fat. What would you tell your best friend? What would you tell your child to do with that information? What does that mean about your child? What does that mean about your best friend? It means fuck all. It means nothing. It means that's information about what their body looks like. Perhaps. Also perhaps not, because obviously what we deem as fat can be completely not the truth, right? We can think that a size 10 is fat when of course it's not. That is just normal. So yeah, try to talk to yourself the way that you would talk to someone who you really love, because that's when you're going to be giving the best advice.